Sometimes you may need to email multiple files to a recipient, or you may need to send large files through an email system that has file size limits. These limits might be on your own email system or in the recipient's email system. If the latter, you may not even know about these limits, and you may never know that an email that exceeds these limits didn't get through to your recipient. In these cases, creating and sending zip files might be your best option. Zipping is a method of file compression. The software that does this was originally a separate application from Windows, but all modern versions of Windows can now do this right in the operating system. The software looks for patterns in the data of your files and rewrites them in ways that take up less file space. This makes the files smaller, but since they are rewritten in a different format, in most instances those files can't be opened by the apps they're intended for unless they are unzipped first. This video will show how to both zip and unzip files. Note that some apps, the Microsoft Office apps such as Word, Excel, and PowerPoint in particular, can read zipped files without their being unzipped, but many apps can't. Also, the resulting zipped file has an icon that looks like a folder, is called a compressed folder in the Windows menus, and is in most ways treated by Windows like a folder. For instance, you can double-click the file to open it and see the files that are contained in it. However, it is actually a single file, and that's why it can be attached to an email when a folder can't. But since it is a single file and may need to be unzipped, it's a good idea to let the recipient of your email know that you've sent them a zip file. If they're not familiar with these files, they may mistake it for a folder and try to open the files within it without unzipping them first. There are 3 ways to make zip files in Windows. In the folder that contains the files to be sent, select all of the files. This can be done by holding down the left mouse button and dragging over all of the files, or with consecutive files in a folder's listing, clicking on the first file, then holding down Shift and clicking on the last file, or with non-consecutive files in the folder's listing by holding down the Control key and clicking each file you would like to include. Right-click on any of the files you've selected, and from the contextual menu that appears, mouse over Send To, and select Compressed Zipped Folder. A new folder icon with a zipper on it will appear. It will have the name of whichever file you happen to be pointing at, but will be ready for you to give it a new name. If you double-click this folder, you'll find that all of your files are in it. Simply attach this zipped folder to your email. There's no need to attach each file. For purposes of this demo, I'll email the zip file to myself. You can also right-click on the desktop or in the empty space in any folder where you want your zip file to appear. From the contextual menu that appears, mouse over New and select Compressed Zipped Folder. A new folder icon with a zipper on it will appear. It will have a default name, but will be ready for you to give it a new name. Double-click the zipped folder and you'll find that it's empty. Just drag and drop your files into it. Notice that your original files are still in their original locations, but that they've also been copied into the zipped folder. Now attach the zipped folder to your email. In the third method, put all of the files you want to zip into a single folder. Right-click on that folder itself, and from the contextual menu that appears, mouse over Send To, and select Compressed Zipped Folder. A new folder icon with a zipper on it will appear, and it will have the name of the folder you right-clicked on, so you may not even need to rename it. If you double-click on this folder, you'll find a copy of the original folder with all of your files in it. Simply attach this zipped folder to your email. You may have to tell your recipient how to unzip a folder that's been sent to them. This is also known as expanding, extracting, or decompressing it. For now, though, let's assume someone has emailed a zipped folder to you. Download the attached zipped file from your email and find it on your computer. Right-click the zipped folder. From the contextual menu that appears, select Extract All. A dialog box will appear that will walk you through the process. First, it will ask you to select a destination for the extracted files. The default destination will be the same folder as the zipped folder itself is in, but you can click Browse to choose another location. In this same dialog box, you will find a checkbox to open the expanded folder and show extracted files when complete. When you're ready, click the button marked Extract. The expanded folder will appear in the location you selected. If you didn't deselect the option to show extracted files, it will automatically open. Unless you want to keep it for archival purposes, you can now delete the zipped folder. A couple of notes. Some files are already compressed, such as PDF documents, JPEG graphics, MP3 audio files, and MP4 videos. Zipping these files won't reduce their file size much, if at all. This is particularly true with PDFs, which often use the same compression method as zipped folders. But it will still allow you to combine several files into one zipped folder to be emailed. There are other uses of zip files as well. For instance, when you download multiple files from Google Drive, it zips them into a single folder for you. So knowing how to zip and unzip folders is a good thing to learn.